As above, so beneath. As inside, so without. This old airtight truth, communicated in the expressions of the Emerald Tablet, welcomes us to look past appearances, to see that the microcosm and the cosmos are not isolated elements, but rather two countenances of a similar general reality. The very knowledge that shapes the stars, frames the molecules inside our bodies. Today, we will investigate the profundity of this widespread regulation and how it associates with the most recent advances in science and with the millennial insight of spiritualists and rationalists since the beginning of time. We will comprehend how this rule can be applied in our lives to turn out to be more finished and cognizant creatures. This regulation, known as the guideline of correspondence, holds that reality in the entirety of its aspects is organized fractally. This airtight standard proposes that all that in the universe is associated and that each section of the entire mirrors the entirety. For instance, the cells of our body convey the very hereditary code that is the whole organic entity, and every cell, as it were, is a microcosm of the body. Moreover, the development of worlds looks like the development of iotas and electrons in their cores, showing that the widespread regulations are something very similar, whether on galactic or subatomic scales. The law of correspondence helps us to consider the universe to be an incredible mirror. To comprehend reality, first notice yourself. Similarly, as the cosmos influences the microcosm, our interior state impacts our general surroundings, and here we view as a strong key. By changing what is inside, we likewise change what is outside. According to an otherworldly point of view, as above, so beneath, drives us to a profound comprehension of the solidarity of everything. Jesus Christ, in his insight, said, "The realm of God is inside you," Luke 17:21. Similarly, as the universe holds inside itself the potential for everything, the person, in its inward microcosm, contains the seed of the heavenly. The human brain is, simultaneously, a spectator and a making of the universe. Similarly, as the enormous entire communicates itself thoughts in each molecule, the person is an impression of the entirety of the universe. Jesus' airtight way of thinking states, every individual is a microcosm, a little universe that, as it grows, comes to and blends with the more noteworthy universe. This uncovers the power and obligation of dealing with one's own brain, considerations, and feelings. Thusly, we additionally deal with what is beyond us. That's what the rationalist Plotinus declared. The more a man knows himself, the more he knows the universe and what is past it. This thought repeats the airtight rule that, to comprehend the universe, we should initially divulge the universe that exists inside us. Otherworldly way of thinking instructs that our inward state, contemplations, feelings, convictions, goes about as a focal point that shapes the manner in which we see the outer world. On the off chance that we find a sense of contentment, we see the world with harmony. Assuming that we are in struggle, our general surroundings appears to be threatening and discordant. This understanding uncovers that the hindrances we see between oneself and the other, or among man and the universe, are fanciful. As a general rule, we are important for a more prominent entire, and what occurs inside us is in steady collaboration with what occurs outside. As a general rule, we are important for a more prominent entire, and what occurs inside us is in steady collaboration with what occurs outside. For chemists, a definitive objective of self-information is association with the entirety. By changing our internal lead, fears, questions, impediments into gold, shrewdness, harmony, discipline, we line up with the heavenly progression of the universe. It is the catalytic interaction, crafted by blending what is above with how the situation is playing out, issue and soul as one. The rule of correspondence welcomes us to see the universe as a progression of layers and real factors that reflect one another. It proposes that there is a close connection between various planes of presence and that what happens on one degree of reality has reflections, equals, or resonances in others. With regards to the duality among soul and matter, the second airtight regulation uncovers that soul and matter, albeit apparently alternate extremes, are truth be told impressions of a similar fundamental reality. The material world we experience is an impression of powers, thoughts, and regulations that work on the profound plane to such an extent that matter resembles a shadow or articulation of the unobtrusive regulations and energies of the soul. As per the standard of correspondence, soul is the first or causal plane where all thoughts and energies begin. Matter, then, at that point is the impression of this beginning, formed by the imperceptible regulations and examples of the soul. Consider the soul, the source, and matter as the picture projected by this source. Matter just exists as an element of the presence and development of this fundamental, profound energy. In this way, the noticeable world is molded by the undetectable powers of the otherworldly plane, similar as a sculpture is etched from a thought. Moreover, any change we wish to find in issue starts, as a matter of some importance, on the otherworldly plane, whether through goal, vision, or the brain. A guide to comprehend this relationship lies in nature itself. Think about DNA. An imperceptible construction to the unaided eye, yet one that contains all the data important to make a complex, actual living being. This connection among DNA and the actual body is an impression of the correspondence between soul as the wellspring of data and energy, and matter as the outflow of this embodiment. By adjusting our psyche and goals to profound regulations, we can impact and shape matter as per our will. In any case, this doesn't mean controlling material reality. Rather, it is a course of arrangement. At the point when we comprehend that matter is simply a densification of soul, we understand that significant changes happen when we work straightforwardly on the otherworldly plane, that is to say, fair and square of our goals, considerations, and convictions. For instance, somebody wanting for success might comprehend that this overflow starts in the soul through a brain that creates convictions of self-esteem, certainty, and appreciation. By sustaining these profound and mental examples, the appearance in the material world unavoidably shows, regardless of whether in a slow and unpretentious manner. Life is a consistent dance among soul and matter, where the objective isn't to deny one for the other, yet to perceive and fit both. Genuine speculative chemistry, then, lies in coordinating the otherworldly world with material life, perceiving that every part of our actual presence has a profound reflection, and that every otherworldly experience can be lived in issue. This implies that the quest for significance and reason, frequently connected with the profound plane, should have viable articulation in our day-to-day routines. At the point when we develop the soul through practices of self-information, for example, reflection and thoughtfulness, we are all the while making a more grounded starting point for a satisfying, adjusted material life full of importance. Eventually, the standard of correspondence helps us that the duality to remember soul and matter is, at its substance, a deception made by our restricted discernment. Both are articulations of a similar well-known fact. Similarly, as light going through a crystal separates into a few tones, soul appears in issue without losing its unique pith. This understanding takes into consideration significant otherworldly opportunity, as we perceive that, by completely living on the material plane and respecting genuine life, we are likewise communicating the soul. The motivation behind our profound excursion, then, at that point, isn't to get away from issue, however to rise above it, considering it to be an impression of soul moving. The airtight proverb, as above so beneath, isn't just a philosophical or recondite idea. It additionally shows obviously and dispassionately in the peculiarities of nature. At the point when we notice the regular world, we see that similar construction and functional examples we find for little scopes rehash on a lot bigger aspects. This correspondence between the microcosm and the world isn't only representative. Engraved in the principal designs administer matter and energy. One of the most significant instances of as above, so underneath in nature is the peculiarity of fractals. Fractals are shapes that recurrent on various scales and can be seen in both small items and epic designs. Regular math is proof that the very designs that structure the universe in its endlessness are found in the seemingly trivial details of the normal world. Take, for instance, the twisting balance of the nautilus shell and contrast it with the state of a winding universe. The very Fibonacci numerical succession that sorts out the development of a bloom's petals likewise applies to the arms of cosmic systems. The very Fibonacci numerical grouping that sorts out the development of a blossom's petals likewise applies to the arms of universes. The rule of as above, so underneath becomes noticeable in this reiteration of examples, showing that nature follows a widespread request. This numerical association is referred to numerous as consecrated math, a language of the universe that structures everything from the development of subatomic particles to the development pattern of plants and the arrangement of star frameworks. Nature is driven by cycles that reflect each other, from the littlest life forms to the biggest biological systems. The pattern of life, birth, development, demise, and re-establishment is quite possibly of the most general model. Similarly, as the seasons change in a ceaseless cycle, all living creatures experience a form of this cycle in their own lives. In the human body, for instance, the circulatory framework is a microcosm of the world's hydrological framework. Similarly, as streams stream to the sea, blood streams to the heart and from that point to the remainder of the body, sustaining and interfacing all parts. Both follow a comparable guideline of stream and return, exhibiting that the universe, the earth, and the microcosm, the person, are coordinated by a similar hidden knowledge. This correspondence between the miniature and the large scale likewise appears in the patterns of rest and alertness, in the rhythms of cell action, and in planetary turn, showing that the standard of correspondence is an essential code in every fundamental cycle. One more clear illustration of as above, so beneath, shows up in the construction of molecules in planetary groups. The core of an iota, encompassed by electrons that rotate around it, intently looks like the sun at the focal point of a planetary framework, with planets circling. This closeness has driven a few researchers and spiritualists to recommend that the essential design of the universe might be redundant and holographic, with a similar example rehashing on subatomic and grandiose scales. This relationship uncovers an arranged universe, where the microcosm and world mirror one another. The savant and mathematician Pythagoras accepted that number is the guideline, everything being equal, proposing that the truth is organized by numerical and mathematical rules that apply both to the immeasurability of systems and to the most immaterial molecule. In the field of cognizance, researchers like David Bohm, a physicist and colleague of Albert Einstein, proposed Hauler development. Bohm recommended that the truth isn't made out of independent parts, yet rather of a resolute entirety, where the parts are not disconnected. However, impressions of a more prominent and inseparable reality, similar as a 3D image. At the end of the day, each piece of the universe contains the entire, mirroring the possibility that what occurs at one degree of reality influences different levels. Benoit Mandelbrot, the mathematician of the last century who found fractals, uncovered how these examples are a principal normal for different frameworks. At the point when we take a gander at the universe with this fractal view, every little part is by all accounts a more limited size rendition of the entirety. Subsequently, as above, so underneath becomes a philosophical similitude, yet a detectable peculiarity in the regular world. The law of correspondence shows us how the outside world, our outcomes, our well-being, our actual appearance, is an immediate reflection of the inward world, that is to say, our convictions, goals, or more all, our everyday propensities. Each little demonstration we rehash is a declaration of our outlook, and when collected, it makes a substantial and noticeable reality. Similarly, as a stone tossed into a lake makes waves that spread, our propensities and thought designs resonate and shape our body and our life. As such, our physical, profound, and surprisingly monetary condition is the consequence of an impression of what we reliably develop inside. Each part of our life is an indication of what we accept, want, and practice day to day. A trained psyche is the prolific ground for making solid and predictable propensities. Somebody with a restrained outlook, with clearness of direction and objectives, mirrors this inward request in their body. Mental discipline converts into substantial activities, ordinary dinner times, actual activity, and practices that sustain and fortify the body. Subsequently, the body turns into a declaration of this coordinated psyche, solid, and adjusted. Then again, a confused psyche that effectively respects interruptions and doesn't lay out boundaries will in general create destructive things to do. This kind of mindset is reflected in a body that gives indications of confusion, overabundance weight, constant exhaustion, medical conditions. At the point when there is an absence of interior discipline, the propensity is to look for surefire solace, handled food sources, over-the-top stationary way of behaving, absence of rest, that in spite of the fact that giving flashing fulfillment bring about long-haul physical and profound degeneration. Consider somebody who continually stalls, postpones workout, and couldn't care less about the nature of their food. This individual mirrors a condition of mental confusion in their body. Abundance weight and steady weakness are then articulations of the wayward and confused mind. As the Greek scholar Aristotle admirably said, "We are what we over and again do." Greatness then isn't a demonstration, however, a propensity. Every little activity, when rehashed day to day, has a significant effect. The person who devotes a couple of moments day to day to taking care of oneself, learning or actual activity, is sowing seeds that, after some time, make a plentiful reap. Little tokens of care and discipline, when added together, bring about extraordinary accomplishments and a more full life. To an external onlooker, a huge physical or mental change might seem like the consequence of something exceptional, yet truly, it is the impression of many little demonstrations finished with consistency and aim. Profound change happens when we comprehend that achievement or disappointment are, truth be told, the products of little decisions made every day. A basic propensity, such as drinking more water consistently, may appear to be irrelevant in detachment. Yet, over months, it can change an individual's skin, energy, and by and large well-being. This is the standard of correspondence in real life. Little demonstrations that start in the microcosm of the brain manifest in day-to-day existence, and afterward make significant changes in the cosmos of life. To change outside results, whether in the body, well-being, or connections, it is important to begin from within, from the brain and soul. This is the force of the rule of correspondence. By really impacting our attitude and developing convictions of discipline, taking care of oneself, and confidence, our day-to-day propensities start to mirror these inside changes. Also, progressively, our outside climate acclimates to this new inside setup. The individuals who have clearness of direction and bearing, the people who understand what they need to assemble and accomplish, foster propensities that support that way. A solid body, an unmistakable brain, and a coordinated life are impressions of a spirit that has tracked down motivation to exist and communicates it through each little activity. While examining the rule of correspondence, we start to comprehend that this old insight isn't restricted to hypothetical reflection. It offers a compass for living with more congruity, realness, and expectation. Applying this guideline to regular daily existence can assist us with adjusting our inward world to the external world, cultivating lucidity, profound equilibrium, and prosperity. Similarly, as the universe coordinates itself into cycles and amicability, we should likewise look for this equilibrium inside ourselves. At its center, the universe resembles an energetic tune, and every one of us is a note, resounding together as one of the entirety. As we are within is appeared outwardly. Our considerations, our convictions, our everyday propensities are the undetectable strings that weave the truth around us. The rule of correspondence advises us that we are the artists of our own reality. The dirt is our awareness, and the etch our activities. Thus, similar to a mirror that mirrors the brilliant sky in the quiet waters of a lake, life answers definitively to what we radiate from our spirit. Assuming we look for harmony, let us develop peacefulness. Assuming that we want strength, sustain it with discipline. Furthermore, on the off chance that we need love, let it bloom in us as an unadulterated and ravenous fire. Allow us generally to recollect what we make inside ourselves, the world will get back to us, all things being equal. As above, so underneath. As inside, so without. May each decision we make be a quiet and deliberate supplication, reverberating in forever, and delivering the most noteworthy articulation of our being. Much thanks to you for watching.